Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Friday morning and we're still amidst the great British summertime where it never stops raining. I think this farmer planting corn was a mistake. You know, the last couple of summers have been really nice and he probably thought, I know what, I'll plant corn. Alright, it's been a few days since I talked about the Summer Wells case, so if you missed my videos on the disturbing psychology of killer nurse Lucy Letby, or you missed yesterday's video on, two trials that were meant to start on October the 2nd, well, one of them isn't, and one of them is in jeopardy. Sarah Boone, remember her? You know, the suitcase? Her lawyer's quit and he's recommended that she represent herself. So that says volumes about the kind of person that Sarah is. Anyway, Summer Wells, a couple of nights ago now, on Prayer Garden of America's channel, there was this absolute troll, an absolute clown from Scotland. Loads of people have commented on this guy. Even Sleuth Dog has made a video about this guy. I don't know how many people listened to the end of that stream. The troll from Scotland doesn't interest me. He's just a troll, right? Just block him. Just ban him. Don't let him on your panels. If he jumps on your panel, just block him. Right? He's just an attention-seeking nutcase. Anyhow, Geordie Sue was on the panel and she had an interesting discussion with Prayer Garden of America. And I'm going to play you a few minutes of it. Geordie Sue talked about the usual stuff, you know, the Scream, the Flash, the Suburban, which came much, much, much later. Remember, the Suburban came later. She added that to the timeline. But it's this thing about things started to go awry in 2019 that interests me, pricked my ears up. So we're going to play a few minutes of Prayer Garden of America's stream. The link to it is in the description box. And yeah, let's go.
You know, you think things are getting better, but then as you sit down and you have time to process, you're like, wait a minute, what I was seeing is not actually what I was seeing. You know, what I was, and it's just like...
Well, what were you seeing?
I have time to process, and that way the feds told us that would be the case, so law enforcement, you know...
That is true. If you've had a disturbing, traumatic, unexpected, negative event, it does take time to process. And yes, you might remember stuff at a later date. So that might be why she remembered the Suburban at a later date. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that one.
But then you also got to factor in other things with there, like monster favors, flying shit everywhere. And so it became pretty apparent very quickly that you didn't know who to trust or where to turn, and you see
So she didn't know who to trust and where to turn. Well, she was living with Andy. She went on later in this conversation to talk about some of the horrible things that Andy did. And I don't doubt that that relationship was very toxic. And I don't doubt that Geordie Sue was a victim. I've never doubted that. Andy's admitted that he hit her. We don't know the scope of the violence, but I've never doubted her on that. I would never doubt someone who claims to be a DV victim unless there's absolute proof that they're lying, and there isn't in this case. So Geordie Sue being a victim of DV and the fact that she developed post-traumatic stress and the fact that she's hypervigilant, that's consistent with how people who've lived, you know, in a chronically violent relationship, how they behave. So I don't doubt that whatsoever.
You thought the calmness was some are getting older, things getting better, and then you realized that that calmness obviously was sinisterness.
Something else happening. And all of it really began...
The calmness, so things went calm. So presumably things weren't calm before things went calm. So she mistook that for things getting better when actually there's something else entirely going on there. So I'm interested to know what she feels was going on there.
End of 2019 for everybody.
So the end of 2019. So let me just play that entire sentence again. And she names some people here, which is interesting.
Something else happening. And all of it really began at the end of 2019 for everybody from Monster to Fred to Lora to Candus to Don, several others all kinds of things in between, and I don't know what to think of it. I'll make a lot of things.
From Monster to Fred to Lora to Candus to Don. Fred to Lora to Candus to Don. So all of those people started behaving what? More calmly, differently. Things happening at the end of 2019. She was living with Andy then. Only she knows the full scope of what was going on behind closed doors. But what was Fred and Lora doing at the end of 2019 that was different than previous? And what was Candace and Don doing that was different than previous? You know, she said that Andy was selling drugs to the children at 110 so that girls could be sedated and touched. She said that out of her own mouth. She also said, and I can't find this clip now, and I know it's there somewhere, I know it's out there. She said that her monster, Andy Bernard, who, by the way, is Fred Hill's first cousin once removed, terrorised her daughter, Geordie Sue, and Andy's daughter by saying that he'd seen Summer's dead body. She also said that Summer died on Saturday. And again, I can't find that clip. If anybody's got that clip of her saying that Summer died on Saturday, can you please let me know which video it's in? I know I've heard it. It's so annoying. So she said these things, like these tantalisingly horrific things in the past. And it's all centred around Andy. And I think this is why Andy is a suspect in a lot of people's minds, is a suspect in my mind. But having said that, law enforcement, allegedly, but this is obviously only via Geordie Sue, have said that Andy was at work all day and he was on camera at work all day. And that law enforcement know that he was on camera at work all day. But was he? Was he? Because Fred and Lora swear down. Like, they've doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on the fact that they saw Andy coming into the holler just as they were loading a car to go to the junkyard. And I made a video about the timeline and how the junkyard fits into the timeline a few days ago. And to get to the junkyard, which is half an hour away at the other side of Kingsport, they had to leave Ben Hill Road at 3:30 at the latest. So Fred estimated the time that Andy was there. A couple of other vehicles also came in at the same time. He estimates that time to be between 3 and 3:30.
To see like Indians was in there. Because I've been 165 and 67 days. I had a couple cars down there along the driveway. Well, I was parked in the road that same day because I hauled 67 miles that day. And Andy come in about 3 or between 3 and 3:30 somewhere around there. And I had to pull out the road, let him by. But see, that truck, I had to pull out the road up here when I loaded one when that truck went in. And then it come back out and it said up there, that where Lockwood is in the road. Instead of coming on down here and just, I pulled over there and stuff and he just kept sitting. So I backed up and went down here and turned at this steep curve and went on down to 167 to load that other vehicle. And that truck didn't come out for a long time. I didn't thinking about it at that time, you see. But Andy, he come in that little silver car.
Candace, Summer, Grandma would have got home about 3:20, 3:30 at the very, very latest, but likely earlier than that. So they would have been coming into the holler as Fred was loading a car, or maybe even he just left. But then Andy was there. So Ben Hill Road at that time on the 15th of June 2021 was very, very, very busy. Very busy. There was lots going on. So she's implicated Andy, and then she's mad with Andy and she says some stuff, and then she kind of sometimes walks it back, but she keeps going back to Andy. But then the implication of him being at work all day is that he can't be responsible for the disappearance of Summer Wells. But Fred and Lora swear down that Andy was there. Andy says that it was the day before that he left work early. It was the day that Jackie Dobbs was there. the 14th. Jackie had left by then, so Jackie's not implicated at all, even though he's still, I think, a suspect in some people's minds. But he wasn't there on the 15th. He left on the 14th because he was chased away from his own land. Anyhow, I digress. So Candace claims to have seen Chad Arnold when she was looking for Summer. Law enforcement, allegedly, they've not said this out of their own mouth, but allegedly it's common knowledge that law enforcement know that she left the hill twice. So she left the hill just after 6 to go looking for Summer. So was that the time that she saw Chad Arnold? Just after 6:09, when Geordie Sue heard them shouting for Summer, and she was going down her driveway, and then she started to look along Ben Hill Road along the creek and stuff. She saw Candace, and Candace turned towards the main road, towards Beach Street Road. So at what time did she see Chad Arnold? Did she go out onto the main road, go up to the church like she told Chris McDonough? So there's 2 churches. You've got Solomon's Temple and then you've got Carmel's Church. So either side of Ben Hill Road, you know, about a mile or so up the road each way, you've got Solomon's and Carmel's. So did she drive to one, to the other, and then back down the holler as far as she could go? So was it at that point that she saw Chad Arnold? Chad Arnold, via Fred, claims to have seen her after 4:30. So did Chad Arnold see her the first time she left the hill, which was sometime when? Or did he see her the second time when she says she went down the bottom of the holler as far as she could go? But she claims that she saw him, but obviously the timings of all of this stuff, it's all up in the air. That's why there's so many problems with the timeline, because as everybody chips in, you can kind of piece together a rough timeline, but then there's these big holes in it, or inconsistencies, because Candace isn't good with time. And Candace, ultimately, is the one that was responsible for Summer on the afternoon that she disappeared. Okay, let's carry on.
I don't know if you know the Chad guy or not. But, okay, so you do know him.
So she does know Chad. Everybody knows Chad. Don says he's a nice guy. He's likeable, I think that was the word he used. Fred knows Chad. Chad Arnold's brother, Jason Arnold, was found dead in mysterious circumstances. He was Fred's best friend. So Chad Arnold and Fred know each other well, and Chad Arnold was on Fred's property on the day that Summer disappeared. Prayer Garden didn't ask her about Cotton Simpson. I would have been very interested to know about Cotton Simpson and Geordie Sue's opinion of him, but that wasn't brought up.
Do you believe what he says about Candace being at Fred's house at 4 o'clock? I mean, is he a type of person that would make things up, or is he pretty truthful when he comes to things like that?
Well, we haven't heard from Chad Arnold. 4 o'clock has never been mentioned by Chad Arnold because he's never spoken to anybody. So we only know an approximate timing from Fred, and it was like 4:30. So did Chad tell Fred a time he saw Candace? If so, that would have been between 4 and 4:30.
I'll leave that one alone. And that would depend greatly on what the real truth is and what's happening in there.
Well, it would depend on what the real truth is. It absolutely would. She's not wrong there.
Do you believe what he's saying about Candace being there at 4 o'clock that day?
I would leave that to law enforcement and the older ones if that question him over.
Right.
I don't know that. It depends on what actually took place.
Well, Geordie Sue was there in the cabin at 4 o'clock. Like, she heard the scream between 4:30 and 4:42. So she was in the cabin all afternoon. So it's interesting that there's certain things that she didn't hear or didn't focus on. So she saw the red vehicle, the red flash, going up the driveway of Candace and Don's, the door slam, and then the Suburban, potentially the Suburban or maybe Grandma's truck, going up the driveway about 5:30, but that didn't come back down. But she said it's only kind of the unusual, like that was unusual to her because it was going so fast. So normal neighbour noises she might not have heard. So if she heard a car going down Candace's driveway at 4 o'clock or 4:30, she may not have attended to it because it's just normal neighbour noises. I'm giving Geordie Sue the benefit of the doubt here that all of the things that she's told us are true. None of them might be true. We don't know.
4 o'clock, like she was searching for Summer.
If she was searching at 4 o'clock, if she was searching at 4 o'clock, and there was proof of that and witnesses to that,
right?
And I know in certain cases around there would be absolute proof of that.
So she knows that there would be absolute proof of that because there's cameras. Apparently there's a camera at the end of Ben Hill Road, I've heard. That the Chambers have a camera. That's what I've heard. I can't confirm it. They should know, law enforcement should know who came in and out of the holler and at what time. If, of course, there's a camera.
Non-realized or not, there would be, I think. And I think they'd already be in fucking cuffs for at least there.
So they'd already be in cuffs. But if Candace went down Ben Hill Road instead of going to Beach Street Road between 4 and 4:30 to see Chad Arnold, and she didn't go the other way, then there must be a camera further down Ben Hill Road. So who's got a camera further down Ben Hill Road that might have caught her? Potentially would have caught Summer on camera. It depends where the camera is. There's a camera near the road, because if Summer walked through the creek or walked in the woods, then maybe wouldn't pick her up. I don't know. Don't know where these cameras are. So she thinks they'd already be in cuffs if something untoward went on, like that they didn't say. I mean, yeah, possibly. Certainly they'd have been interrogated, but unless they're arrested, unless there's probable cause to arrest them for something, then they can only question them voluntarily and they can choose to leave, can't they?
I do believe that Summer managed somewhere between 4:30 and 5-ish. I do believe there's a very small window there, about 30 to 40 minutes, that she actually vanished. And I do not think Candace knew exactly anything, and I don't think she realized Summer was gone. Somehow, we're very linked to them.
That's my belief as well, that Summer vanished way before Candace knew. For whatever reason, I think between 4:30 and 5 would be my assessment as well. But I've nothing to back that up on. It's just a feeling. And maybe Geordie Sue says that because of the scream. But I think she was definitely gone at least an hour before Candace realised. If it turns out that there's no crime and she just wandered off and got lost in the woods and sadly perished, it gave her an hour extra than what law enforcement realised. 911 calls came in 6:23, 6:26-ish, and on the dispatch call we heard that Summer had only been missing 10 minutes. So 10 minutes from the 911 call, you're looking at, what, 6:10, 6:15? So how far can a little girl get in that time? So by the time the searchers got there, they were thinking that she'd maybe been missing an hour or just over. And how far can a little girl walk in an hour? But actually, she's probably been missing an hour and a half earlier than that. They might not have even come across, sadly, her body because they've not extended the search far enough. And if she fell down a hole, a ravine or something like that, then potentially wouldn't have been picked up by heat-seeking technology. Potentially. This is all potentially. None of us have got any idea. If she was abducted, it's given an abductor an extra hour and a half to get Summer away from the immediate area. Whatever Candace was doing on that afternoon, I don't think she's been truthful about it. I think there's more to that afternoon than we've heard, maybe even that law enforcement's heard. I'm intrigued to know what changed at the end of 2019. What changed and why did she mention Andy, Fred, Lora, Candace and Don all in the same breath? What have all of those people got in common? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye guys.